This confrontation can cancel your career.
Canceled.
Canceled. Canceled.
Canceled.
Canceled.
Canceled.
Canceled.
Canceled.
Canceled.
Canceled.
Cancel
Culture.
podcast.
Welcome back to Cancel Culture, the podcast writers room where a diverse group of Gen Z female comedy writers create a funny, unoffensive joke about a topic that most might consider a no-fly zone in comedy that even an old, cis, white man can tell, aka my dad, without getting canceled. Today's topic, jokes about poverty. That's right. We're gonna write jokes about poverty that a white man, and a non-impoverished white man, I should say, currently, without sounding like an asshole.
I'm emotionally impoverished.
To show that it's possible.
To show it's possible.
I'm skeptical.
That one
my
was
friend.
chaotic.
This one's weak. That was
I
weak
love the
to show
chaos.
it's possible.
I love the chaos.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be great.
Introducing
Unimpoverished killed me though.
But before we jump in, can I ask a question?
Okay, yeah.
Can we introduce ourselves first, or no?
I want to hear his question.
Do you carry money around? Do you carry money around to give to poor people on the street?
Like cash money?
No, Bitcoin.
Some people take
No,
Venmo.
but like sometimes people take Venmo, and B, sometimes I like buy food with a credit card for.
Have you ever seen
them.
someone give a homeless person? We did a homeless episode, but have you ever seen a homeless person take Venmo?
Well,
Yes.
like once or twice.
Yes.
Have you
I've
really?
given people money for the train in New Haven.
It's New York. People have phones and Venmo.
Respect.
Well,
Yeah.
I've not seen that happen.
I
right, we can go back
used
to
to
the-
carry. Well, I used to carry around cash when I worked in the service industry, and I would get cash tips. I just never. The cash chips
I
just
just don't know
always
how
stayed in
much
my bag
guilt-
to give out.
I don't know how much guilt to feel. I walked by a homeless person sleeping on the sidewalk as I was walking our dog today, and I don't carry cash. But had I carried cash, I don't know that I would have given him any. And I don't know how guilty to feel every time I pass a homeless person on the street when I don't have
Don't
food or
help.
cash.
Well, you're
Well,
not obligated. Well, this
relative
is
to
the
the
thing.
whole.
Giving them a little cash on the road is actually like not going to solve the problem. If you have it to
Yeah.
give and you have it in your heart to give, amazing. But like, this is a so much larger systemic issue
Yeah.
that like, cool, you gave them $10, but like they're still sleeping.
I
on the
hear
ground.
that, and yet it doesn't seem to necessarily improve when I give
Yeah.
money to other
And then it's like,
places.
if we all feel that way, then nothing, maybe if we all gave
I mean,
the 10.
I've been poor most of my life, so I don't really have guilt, and I rarely have money to actually give away. So I guess I just don't experience this problem. But if you feel in your heart that you're helping someone, you should go for it. If you have
That
the
is a
cash,
very
Well-
first. Guilt is a very first world problem.
I think we should
Yeah.
introduce ourselves, and then I think we should talk about why this episode is different from the homelessness episode.
word.
Okay.
Okay.
Because we
So-
solved homelessness in the homeless.
Because we
episode.
solved
we
homelessness
solved it.
already.
That's done.
over.
It's
So you
over.
actually can stop feeling guilty because homelessness
Yeah.
is over.
So I didn't know I was poor until I went to Yale. And Yale has a different scale of wealth because nobody ever thinks they're wealthy because there's always somebody, with more homes than them. But the way that they went about it is like, you have like less than enough growing up, just enough growing up, more than enough growing up, or like way more than enough, or I forget how they phrased it in a
Never even thought about it.
in a little pretty fluffy way. And they had everybody like stand up in that category, and like we all cheered because it was like a diversity something where you like all cheer for each category. And, we went through race, we went through gender identity, and we went through blah 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 because Yale's an inclusive like woke bubble. And when we got to this, I stood up. I was like, I think we have just enough. Yeah, I'm gonna stand up. And I was like one of like 5 people. I was like, oh, word. Okay. So
Wow.
and then like they cheered so loudly for like the way more than enough, never thought about it. And
Oh
this-
my God.
yeah, I didn't know summer was a verb before I went to Yale.
Like,
I didn't know that.
That's
Summer-
the greatest thing you've ever said.
It is
So-
great.
The most uncomfortable thing is to be like, no, I cannot go to this dinner for the 4th time this week at Barcelona. Like, I can go once a month. No, I cannot buy $700 plane tickets to Cabo and go with you for spring break because like that's just not happening.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I was also paying my way through school, so like
You personally?
most of the time, yeah. So most of the time, like
wow.
like things that I was worried about and thinking about, like my peers didn't even know were a thing.
Yeah.
Like I remember having an argument with a friend about credit scores because she's like, I don't have a credit score. And I'm like, you've had your parents' credit card since you were 14. Like you have credit history. You have a great credit score because they're paying it off. And she's like, that's not true. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not wealthy. We're just comfortable. Blah, blah. I'm like, girl, you didn't even know what a credit score was 2 hours ago. So get out of my face. Don't even talk to me about it. But it's just different because like Yale is like very wealthy. Like senators' children.
It's crazy.
And Lorne Michaels' kid. Like
I think you learn that at all private schools. Well, okay, we'll continue introducing yourselves and then we'll further converse.
Converse.
Thank you. Oh wow.
We'll talk.
I am Jamie. And I was just gonna say that I went to Comic-Con yesterday for the first time in my adult life. I think I went once to see something you did, Evan, Dad, but I don't remember what it looked like. I just remember going to that one panel or event. But so I went to Comic-Con and I was just like, oh my God, it was so crazy walking into that building and just seeing the amount of money that was spent. But both
I was wondering where poverty fit in.
Both to create this event and also the amount of money that people were spending there. Like it was, I saw people drop like $30,000 in 5 minutes
on nerd shit.
Yeah, you could call it that. On nerd shit. But like, listen,
by
I
the way, nerd shit, top 10 movies of all time. So go ahead.
No, but it was just like really jarring. And like, I was thinking about how we were going to shoot this episode today. And I was like, if people like bought like, if each person here bought like one less Funko Pop today, they could solve poverty.
Yes,
it was
one less
Funko Pop.
What the
What's
fuck is
Yeah,
that?
I have no idea what that is.
Well, I'll show you. Hold on.
Did you buy one, Jamie?
I did buy one.
She bought one. Right. Meanwhile,
with
my own.
But she was texting me from Comic-Con on whether or not to
say
spend
this. Don't say this. Don't say
$212
this.
on an original sketch of SpongeBob SquarePants. So she's like 200.
Okay, so you're unimpoverished as well. So
Yeah, I think it's good for us
Like,
to fess
no.
up.
Okay.
I was never
No.
claiming that I was.
No.
I was never claiming that I was. That was nothing that was never something that said. I was just
Jamie,
shocked
I didn't say
by-
that. I didn't say
Show
that.
the Funko Pop.
shocked
Show the
by
Funko
how
Pop.
much money people.
Yeah, show us what the fuck
Okay,
this
this
thing
is
is
a-
that you spent hundreds of dollars on.
First of all, this was $5. This was $5
Oh,
for the
okay.
record.
$5.
Could feed a family of 5.
This is a Funko Pop.
Oh,
Kid
One of my
Robot.
coworkers' sons
You've
love
seen
them.
them.
I've seen
Avatar
that.
guy? Oh my
You've
God,
seen them.
he's so
Yeah, I
cool.
love
Why did you want
Avatar.
one?
It's Azula.
Oh, Azula.
My bullying tendencies are coming out. I'm telling you. I want
It's okay. You can bully me. I am a huge Avatar fan.
Azula?
Okay, she's
That's
a
a
yay icon.
Huge Avatar fan?
What is it?
Azula?
Oh, the Avatar, the air.
Like Avatar: The Last Airbender, not the blue.
Oh, yeah.
people.
Not Avatar, the movie.
Yeah,
right?
not the James.
I like the
Cameron
movie.
bullshit.
I like how they fuck with their tails.
Always.
You're talking about the James.
It's
Cameron.
always coming back to that.
It's all coming back.
Fucking with tails.
No, this is the Avatar: The Last Airbender, the Nickelodeon show from way back when. Azula is a gay icon that I like her. She becomes
Back to
unhinged at
poverty.
the end.
Land the ship.
Anyway, sorry. I was just shocked by how much money people were spending at this thing. And like people were like buying bags of these things, like huge bags, and then walking like it was just jarring. And it was kind of disheartening. I was like, there's so much shit going on in the world right now, and we're spending there was probably I'm willing to bet there were billions of dollars spent over the course of the last 5 days at Comic-Con. It was crazy. Anyway, great.
My dad was mugged this week. That's my money related comment. Not necessarily poverty related. This was in London, but he got mugged of £800 because he carries around a fat
He weighs
wad of
800
cash.
pounds?
No.
Oh, got it. No. He had
Metric
800.
system.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
He had
what?
£800 because my dad's like, he reminds
That's
me of, like-
800. That's like $800 because they're exactly
Well, yeah, now
the
it's
same
exact.
right now.
Don't rub it in,
Oh.
okay?
The
Thank you
same
so much
thing.
for that. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, remind me. yeah, no, my dad definitely still has like a sort of wartime mentality. Like he wasn't there in the Holocaust, but I feel like he exists.
How old's
like
your
he
dad?
was 65, but his dad
Alright,
was like
fair enough.
super like, don't know, just there's like a
Right, your
warish
dad was
element to
your-
him,
yeah.
you know. And I just feel like he carries around a bunch of cash because he just has that sort of like,
Sure.
You
watch
gotta
your
be
back,
ready to
like, you
run.
gotta be ready to
Yeah.
run. That's yeah, and he's done
Mhm.
it for years, and we've always warned him like, don't do this. Like, why
Yeah.
would you carry so much all the time? And then he got mugged by a 15-year-old girl, we believe. She looks like a child. There's footage and two men, and they bear hugged him from behind, and then the little girl, little bitch in Uggs, swiped straight from his pocket.
I gotta say,
Not even calling her a bitch in Uggs.
It's like Les Mis.
I gotta say, if I saw
Just
that
came
fat
out.
wad of cash, I would have grabbed my bros too and been like, hold him. Hold him down.
Was he flashing the cash? Was
No,
it at a strip?
it
Was
in
it at
his
a strip
pants.
joint?
I'm
Okay.
sorry, but like also if you saw a picture of Sarah's dad, it would make it a little bit more heartbreaking.
He's
Oh,
really
he's just
sweet
a
looking.
sweet,
He's a
wholesome man.
sweet looking
He's
old
old
man.
I saw him
looking
as an
in some
easy
ways
target.
and frail seeming in some ways, and
Yeah.
absolutely gorgeous face for the
Does he
films.
have
I've
a-
always said it.
Does he have a pre-snez?
What's that?
There's those little tiny glasses that they wear on the tip of
Oh,
their
that-
nose.
No, but he could.
Yeah, he very well
Oh.
could.
He may as well be.
Oh, this
Um,
sweet man.
Well,
Well, I hope they spent that money well. Good
Me
luck,
too.
fuckers.
And it's all good, but he was upset.
I would
yeah.
I would be
I
too.
can
I'm
imagine.
actually a little traumatized
Just hearing about
thinking
it.
about it. Yeah. Aw.
Okay, so you're showing.
Wait, so
me-
Paul
me
is a
zoom in, Paul.
stalker.
Zoom in. Wait,
I thought that was
go
actually a
in.
comment about wealth because he just showed a picture of me and Westlake.
back.
I felt like that was
Go
the
back,
kind
go
of.
back, go back,
None of
go
us
back,
know
go
what
back, go back,
Westlake
go back,
is
go
well
back, go
enough to
back. I wanna
judge you
see
for
that. What is
Can
Westlake?
you
Is that-
zoom in?
Just
Is-
like
is
the
that what you're
bougie ass
wearing?
place of California. That's my dad.
Okay, you
You
look
are-
hot
You
though.
are-
Yeah, you look so hot.
You're
Sarah.
serving.
Guys.
Why have I never
Outfit?
seen this outfit?
What's he
But-
do for a living?
He sells binoculars, everyone. He's a binocular kingpin.
Oh.
Fuck out of here.
I'm not kidding. I'm a binocular heiress. That's not a joke.
Oh my
That is the
God.
most specific thing I've ever heard in my life.
That's so
Paul,
funny.
Does he
can
own
I
his
jump
own
this
binoc-
man?
No,
Does he
you
make
wouldn't,
his-
Paul.
Does he make binoculars?
He has like a factory in Hong Kong or something.
I just
I'm
don't
literally
believe that
lying
there
through
are
my
Say,
teeth. It's
they
not in
look-
Hong Kong, but
they look particularly moneyed
me and my father.
in that setting.
In that setting, yes.
Look
but
at
also,
your face there.
I
Tom.
just can't believe that there's enough people in the
I
world
come
buying
from
binoculars
generational wealth.
for
Yeah.
your
He
dad
Also,
to
he
sell
does
them.
property. It is. I don't think he makes any money from the binocular side of things. That's just usually how
That's
it
a
is.
That's
hobby?
just his
That's
front.
it.
That's
No,
it.
that's it.
That's
That's not his hobby.
that's
That's
just
his
for fun.
front.
Mafia
That's where he
shit's been
launders
brought
the
up
money.
Oh,
before.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that is
Yeah.
bougie right
But
there.
he does work in like a really old sort of decrepit binocular shop. Like if you want to
Aw.
find him, you'll find him
So
in
he's
a
in the
dusty.
Kingsman,
Well,
and that's
yeah,
the
like-
front. And in
Yes.
the back,
Like
there's
Don
like a little curtain.
Corleone
Yeah.
curtains. Your
Goes
dad
into a
makes
spy
binoculars.
lab. And lastly, and certainly leastly, Evan, who kind of grew up a little poor. I don't know.
I'm not. I grew up.
This is
I grew
grasping
up,
at
This is
straws.
this is really.
No, that's not
Yeah.
true. I grew
Okay,
up.
fine, sorry.
That's not true. I grew up in a single mom household, and my mom was a teacher who had to learn how to retrain herself. So we did not have a shit ton of money, and we were definitely one of the poorer families.
Which bracket
in
would you have stood
in
up for
Cherry
at
Hill, New
Yale?
Jersey?
Yeah, would you
I
have been
definitely
just enough, less than enough, more than enough?
just enough, I would
Okay,
say.
that's what I was-
And only because my grandparents really helped out, and
Aw.
neither of my grandparents went to college. My grandfather owned a service station and started working when he was 13, and so I grew
We're
up very
humanizing the
privileged.
villain, guys.
Yeah,
I-
I'm
no,
literally
no,
suddenly like.
I grew up
wow.
very, very privileged. Don't get me wrong, just because that's what you do to Jewish firstborn men.
Mm.
And then
White.
my mom actually learned how to earn a living for herself and did very well
Yeah.
for herself and saved
She's
every
badass.
fucking penny she
Mm.
ever made, not under her mattress like your father, Sarah, but in a bank account. And but actually
Whoa, we're
the one
throwing.
thing I
Makes you
would turn
think.
this around today. I
Oh,
dropped
Pat, you
I
scared
dropped
me.
a piece today about how the image of privilege and poverty in the United States and in the Western world really gets shaped. And if you
Mm.
think about this, 60% of America doesn't go to college.
Yeah.
Of the people who go to college, 0.5% get to go to an Ivy League school, right? 0.5% of all college students, which is far less. It's only in the 40% of people who get to go to college. The people who dictate what we see on TV and hear and see on movie screens and hear on the radio or on podcasts are 28% Ivy Leaguers, 56 times the average of the U.S. college.
And we are
student.
not defying those stereotypes on this pod.
Right,
we got
exactly.
an Ivy.
Well, I'm a college dropout, but
So do you guys
that's the
cancel each other out?
I guess so. But the point is like, so when you think about how poverty and income and economic inequality, the great distance between the young woman in Uggs who robbed your dad and the poorest Americans in Mississippi who don't have clean drinking water right now, and those at Harvard and Yale, think about how it's portrayed, because it's shot through the lens of this enormous generational privilege, because we all hire our friends and family and nieces and nephews and fraternity brothers and sisters. And so that's why we have, so it's kind of fitting that we're doing
Substack. So if you
Right,
want
exactly.
stop
subscribe
talking.
to my Substack.
All right. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate your TED Talk.
Self-promo.
That was good.
in
I
our-
learned
yeah,
something.
you know what? Okay.
I did.
So I think we'll jump into the episode before we do. He kind of already outlined it, but I feel like when people think about poverty, they just like immediately they're like homeless people. And there are just so many different faces to poverty and so many different circumstances in which poverty is present. So I figured, and we figured that it would be good to look at some. Yeah, no, he never figures anything out. Let's take a look at this is a clip about Andy Haynes, and despite what I just said, he is talking about homeless people.
One thing I don't like about being broke is I don't like public transportation. I don't like it. I don't like it. You know why? They let the public on that thing. And that means everybody. That means all sorts of people, and I mainly mean homeless people. That's what I'm talking about. And I hear you guys tighten up because you're all liberal voters and you went to Whole Foods and you recycle your bags or whatever. We don't like homeless people, all right? We care about them, we feel bad for them, but we don't like them. We're never excited to see a homeless person like, oh, Boots is here to make the room smell different. Get in here, buddy, I got some cans I've been saving. And why are you on the subway? Like, I should be on the subway. I'm going to work. You should be on one of those crank carts from a Looney Tunes. Stack of squirrels helping you on an adventure. I told all my friends in New York that I was going to move to LA. I used to live in New York. I moved to LA. And I told them all, and they're like, Andy, you don't want to move to LA. If you move to LA, you'll have to drive. I'm like, yeah. I love driving. Driving is great. Like, and I'm an environmentally conscious person, but after 4 years on the New York subway, I would drive a Hummer powered on Native American tears, all right?
I struggle with this one because I do think it's kind of funny, and like I think my feelings about it are, I think that it's a well-written joke. I think he has some good stuff in there. I think I'm just kind of tired of like cartoon homeless people. Like I'm just like exhausted by like, I just think A, it's been done, but B, I think like it's just old. It's just like enough like cartoon homeless people, enough like troping them, like
right.
It's too serious and sad at this point where it's like you can make jokes about homelessness and like poverty.
We did it,
but I just
already.
don't think that like we need to keep making them cartoon people, you know?
Yeah, dehumanizing poor people, not a good look.
Well, and he opened with a really good line of humor where if he had stuck there, probably would have made the entire room feel more uncomfortable and gotten more laughs in the payoff, which is, hey, liberals.
Yeah, right.
You
At
say
you
you
at
care
Whole Foods,
about,
exactly.
right. Had he stayed, I thought that's where he
that
was
was
going.
a good joke.
That
Like
would have been-
we care about them,
there's
but we
half
don't like
an hour
them.
in that. You know what I mean? There's just so
Yeah.
much. We saw a really good, I think Aussie do some stuff about that in the homeless episode. But we that is true. I am guilty of it. And I feel like that is the kind of humor that more comedians should be doing, which is right at their audiences who walked past a homeless person into the comedy show that night and then bought a $11 drink.
Right.
Yes.
I think if you can take the thing that makes people uncomfortable and the thing that they like are uncomfortable with about themselves and make them laugh at it, that's like a really smart and unique thing to do. And I agree.
Yeah. Also, I like this thread of public transportation, because if it's one thing public transportation is it's not accessible. So like,
speak more on that, Elayna.
Okay, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. I have some beef with the fucking MTA for stealing my money and refusing to give it back and making me pay more. $3 a swipe. First of all, sick.
Tell the people what happened, Elayna.
Okay, people, let me tell you. I filed formal complaints. I chewed out 3 people on the phone. So through my job, I have this like third-party thing where they like pull money out every month for my Metro card. It's through WageWorks, but yes, it's the same thing. So anyway, I don't know if you know this. I moved. I had to move.
Yes.
Which means my address changed. And, I verified several times that the address was changed, but nope. They mailed it to the old address. It never showed up to the old address. And guess what? It never showed up to the new address. That's a lot of money. So when I called, they were like, oh, we don't send out new cards. You'll just have to buy a new one. I said, what? No, I already bought one. I already bought a card. Where is it?
For $127.
Yeah, $127. So I need to buy another one for $127. Sick.
This might turn into just an MTA hate group. They never replied, by the way. I tweeted at them about Elayna's situation and they replied, and then I like followed up because they were like, to be clear, you lost the card. And I was like, no, to be clear, you lost the card. And then they stopped responding. But
hit me on the chain. I'm usually good about getting
the MTA is like a huge issue. I mean, this comedian talked about not liking public transportation, but like the fact that like transportation is expensive is so fucked up. Like anybody should be allowed to get from point A to point B without having to like spend $3.
But now they do that nice thing where it's $13 a week and then it's free, which is so sweet of them. Right?
Yeah, Sarah. Yeah, good point.
I think we would care less about the transportation being paid for if medical care, healthcare were cared for and education was cared for.
I think public transit should also be a public good. They all should be free.
100%.
None of them should be paid for.
But how do you get to the hospital if you're in pay for an $80 Uber and $1,000 ambulance ride?
I understand, but everywhere in the world people have to pay to get to work. So I don't know.
Not in LA.
It's free in LA.
Oh, yeah. Have you ever taken the bus to work in LA?
That's true.
It's free, but it's 4.5 hours, to and from.
Okay. Yeah, that part is a little frustrating.
Public transportation, even though it is expensive, it's less expensive than gasoline for a lot of people who have to drive and don't have a choice about it. But if we didn't have to pay for healthcare and education and childcare and food for our kids, then those things, then I think the transportation thing would be a little less of an issue. Anyway.
Also, to get to work to make your teeny, $20 an hour, you're spending $6 a day at least. That's crazy. That's how generational poverty gets created. Is we continually create these expenses, taxes. Called the criminal justice system, or bad schooling, or bad roads, or poor public transportation, to make it harder to elevate from one economic class to the next. It's almost impossible. It's
and then we make it impossible for people to change those systems because they have no access to the voting system, because they make it, you have to have IDs that people can't afford or can't get access to, or they can't get to the voting locations.
To the damn poll, yeah,
because they have work or children, and childcare is expensive, and it's like a cycle of.
It is like a cycle.
It's very intentional.
Well,
it is a cycle.
Thank you for coming to our TED Talk.
Our TED Talk about
we're solving poverty today in this episode. Starting with the MTA.
So let's get back into the topic. Well, we never left the topic. We're talking about poverty, but let's talk about comedy again. And now let's look at an ad from our sponsors that give us no money. So here you go.
You've tried Postmates and TaskRabbit, but they don't meet your every need. For the customer who's looking for an elevated experience, a service that takes on even the most intimate tasks, something that tells people around you you have money to burn. We bring you Wealth Watchers, the only subscription that requires you to prove your wealth for membership. Show us your real tax returns and we'll show you the world. You're too rich to waste time brushing your own teeth or taking out the trash. With our elite subscription, you gain access to highly vetted and equally as desperate broke college students who will tend to your every need for pennies on the dollar. Need to be rolled over in your bed at 4 a.m.? No problem. Our attendants can't wait to wipe your rich behind. Don't wait to join Wealth Watchers. Prove your wealth today. Simply Google Hamptons, Botox, and Elon Musk right in a row, and you'll automatically be subscribed. Wealth Watchers, we can't wait to wait on you.
Here's a joke that is maybe more positive. And it's about poverty, and the comic's name is Michael Jr. And here we go. Roll clip.
We ain't had no money, man. My parents would buy us some stuff, but they couldn't pay for everything. Like, we had the game Operation, right? We ain't had no batteries. Then my cousin came over and he figured out a way how to plug it into the wall, right? It's a whole nother game now, right?
A short little one. That one was just a short little one. I just like it. I think
I like it.
I
Look,
think it's good.
everyone's always talking about if we give people money and security, we'll lose innovation. Nah, these kids have the most innovation ever. They figured that shit out. They said, we're going to play our game. Let me show you.
Yeah.
We don't need batteries.
The creativity comes from lack of resources, you know?
Thriftiness. That's why people that thrift their clothes often have more of a unique sense of style versus just cruising into any shop these days, correct?
Sure, yeah. I don't know what
actually
that.
choked on my, I actually choked on my water.
You're trying to speak about this topic.
I enjoyed that take. For sure. Listen, NYU, like, people, I think the issue is that then the rich kids start going thrifting and
that
steal
is
all
the
the clothes.
issue.
Well, I thought that was the joke.
And then,
They're
yeah,
not
exactly.
Really, they're not really.
They all cost
thrifting.
$100 to $200.
Yeah, and they're dressed the same.
Vest
They
for
all
a
dress like
tank.
the history majors with their Doc Martens and their flowy top and linen pants.
I was listening to a costume
Me.
designer talk about like costuming New York and like doing New York shows, and she was like, yeah, it's like fun because you walk around the city and you like know what area people are from. You're like, you're from Soho, you're not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right now there's something called like a homeless chic, which is fucked. Like, but that is literally a thing. It's where like the look people are paying
Hobo
a lot of
chic.
money. Hobo chic, sorry, yeah. Where it's like the point is that the garments are like collapsing on your body and like all holy and falling apart, and like people are paying big smackaroonies.
Well, this is a huge issue in fast fashion where it was like all of these like designer brands, right? Like even like Balenciaga is out here just like tying shirts to shirts and like making it stylish, but and then you see people try to copy it, and then they go thrifting to like actually like cheap thrift stores and take all these clothes even though they can afford more expensive. Like there's a whole movement about ethical thrifting.
Again, I say innovation, when you have wealth, you have no innovation. Sorry. You're just stealing it from the hobos.
No, true.
I don't know. Wait,
that's
are we
like
allowed to say hobos?
that, no.
I don't
Okay.
think so.
I wanted to say that like part of the other issue with fashion too is that all of these brands that used to be affordable and accessible, like even like Adidas and like Puma and Nike, like used to be
Champion.
like affordable, like Champion.
Yeah, I got bullied for wearing them.
But now, Reebok.
Now it's high fashion.
But now because fashion and like high fashion has taken over all those brands and they've become like high fashion lines, the stuff that people wear is like it's so hard to provide. I don't know. Anyway, that's my spiel. Okay, next. Here's a clip from Felipe Esparza.
Growing up, I didn't know I was poor. I didn't know how poor I was till they transferred me to another school. And me and my friends were the only ones in that school standing in line for free lunch. And I was out of breath. I ran for nothing. Never first. We didn't know we were poor. We felt sorry for those kids. Hey, that's sad how they all have to pay. Fucking losers.
He's funny, he's charming, he's smart. We're in love. But I just remind when you were talking about like not knowing that you were poor until you went to Yale, Elayna, that clip reminded me of that.
Just enough. Yeah.
Well, yes, but yeah.
My parents were hustlers, but yeah, I hear you. It always cracks me up because you don't really know. You have no perspective until you're in a new space. And then that's funny because he said, losers, you gotta pay for your lunch.
It is weird though. I lived across the hall from I know she used it jokingly before, Sarah, but like an actual heiress. That was the first time where I was like, oh, there's there's like next level wealth.
Level.
I gotta tell you, I think NYU, I mean, it's probably not up to the Ivies, but around the rest of the university set, I saw a rich set of kids, man.
Well, yeah, because NYU, I swear, is the most
and
expensive.
global wealth too.
Freshman year, I also went to a Halloween party at this kid's house who his dad or his mom, I don't know which one did which, but one of them was like a VP at Goldman Sachs and the other was like an editor-in-chief of Vogue. And they had bought him a penthouse apartment on Park Avenue. Like it wasn't their home. It was like his apartment on Park Avenue. And I was just like, whoa, like that's not something that I've ever like, listen, again, did not want for anything growing up. So like definitely would have said, if I had to stand up at Yale, I would have said like the more than enough, like not complaining at all. But it was just crazy. Like, yeah, because I still did go to like a relatively public school that was like not super racially diverse, but super socioeconomically diverse.
Right.
And like it was free. Right. It was free. So like I didn't realize that like people could own islands. Like I thought that was just something that like happened on TV.
Yeah.
I think that we have to write a joke now. So let's send Evan away. So
honestly, this is the episode I get canceled for. My cousins come out the woods.
We say that we say that every episode though.
I love the idea of making fun of liberals for walking past or like turning a blind eye to poverty. I also think it could be funny to be like, you're poor when, and describe like ostentatious wealth.
These cartons.
But the wealth is next to like even more ostentatious wealth. Like, you're poor when your uncle doesn't have a private jet to take you on vacation. Like, you're poor when you have to go to the untrendy thrift shop to buy your new trash bag. Like, you're like, I think it's so funny, and just how absurd it is, like the brackets of wealth.
I think the other thing about what we were talking about that could be funny is like the lack of originality in rich people versus the innovation of people who don't have money,
have access. How would we?
I'm
also
also trying to think of things that my dad could tell. Maybe about the first times, because I do know a few things that could be funny to draw on. One, like the idea that he had like never had sushi until he met my mom. He had never like eaten an artichoke until he met my mom. So like things like that like could be funny to like include, like when you grow up with just enough and then you enter into these worlds of like
way more than
exuberant, like, or that's not the right word, exorbitant wealth.
No, I love this. That's so funny.
Okay, I'm gonna try to write something.
Wow, I just feel like Evan and I are kindred spirits, the Just Enough clan. And when I win my Emmy, I'll bring it up in my speech that my mentor Evan showed me the path to the American dream.
Don't think a white man in your speech.
I'm kidding.
I think Evan has to go, so we have to bring him back.
Okay.
Maybe you'll have some thoughts on this.
Maybe. Let me try it.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine told me recently about these categories of wealth as a young person? Does your family have less than enough, just enough, more than enough, way more than enough, or never thought about it enough? I grew up with a single mom, and I would say we had maybe just a tad more than just enough. Now, I was still a white dude, and my grandparents helped out a lot. So we had a lot of the privileges working for me as I was a kid, but we did not have money to burn. I didn't realize perhaps how little money my family had until I moved into this town called Cherry Hill, and I started eating with people who had money. People with money eat weird things. I remember the first time I had sushi. I was on a date with a girl, and she put raw fish in front of me. And honestly, I thought she was breaking up with me. She was just trying to go out with a bang on homicide charges. I'd exclusively had overcooked stuff that I made myself in the microwave because my mom worked. And now I'm eating raw tuna. Ridiculous. Then there's artichokes. Have you ever had an artichoke? Have you ever seen an artichoke? Here's a plant that you have to gnaw your way through, avoiding pointy leaves to get to the center of. Be careful of the toxic part because that's poisonous. That's what toxic means. Get around that and you get to the heart. It's like this multi-level Nintendo game. So yes, eating rich people's food taught me a lot about where I was in the world. And I also learned that it's a little bit dangerous.
Cute. A cute little joke.
Very true. Very, very true. Very
accurate. True to life.
Very, yes,
True to life.
Extremely.
No, these
accurate.
are things that I remember you telling me that you had.
I had the most exotic thing I had before I became an adult to eat was a hot pocket that had pepperoni in it.
I loved those hot pockets.
Those
I ate a lot of
were
hot
so
dogs.
good. Hot pockets
I ate a
were
lot of
so
hot
good.
dogs.
But
We had a lot of
pizza
breakfast
pockets.
for dinner when I was
Pizza
a kid. We had a lot of
pockets.
breakfast for dinner because my dad was a
Yeah.
teacher, and like that's
I
what
love
we-
breakfast for dinner.
some pancakes and eggs.
Yeah. I had a lot of cereal.
I had so much cereal. I had so much cereal for dinner.
I was
as
a
kid.
latchkey kid. I was the generation of humans that the phrase latchkey kid was invented for.
If you think that we've done a good job, which God, who are you that you think that at this point?
No, we're hilarious.
Good luck,
We're
Jesse.
Please
Good
write
luck.
to
So
us
funny.
at Cancel
Good
Culture.
luck.
Cancel Culture _pod on Instagram. You can find our tickets. You can find what we're doing and everything there. And
Go
until
Phillies.
next time, this has been Shush.
Birds.
This has been Cancel Culture. Oh.
Cancel.
Culture.
Podcast.